It is so good to have you here today. I just want to thank you for joining me to share your story. And let's dive straight in, shall we? Tell us a bit about yourself. And when I met you in May last year, this year, from where you are, where you've come from May to where you are now. Just give us an overview of the whole shebang.
Well, to start off with, if you'd have said to me in May, in November, you will be in this place and positive and happy, I would have been, no way. It's going to take so much longer. You just wouldn't have convinced me at all. It's not been easy. By far, it's had, especially at the beginning, I found it really hard, when I was due on and, time of the month and things. That was like probably the hardest time in the beginning. From going to being sick 2 or 3 times a day and literally planning the addiction, which is the only way I can describe it. Yeah. Is being addicted, like a drug addict to something. I wasn't satisfied till that was done. It was getting to a point where it was just like a living and breathing exercise. It was living, breathing, be sick, and it was part of like the daily routine as much as cleaning your teeth. And I thought that was it. I thought, this is it. This is you for life. But you think now, no, it's not. You get up and it pops into my head, and it's like, you used to want to be sick. You used to want to be sick today, throughout the day. And then it comes into my head and go, no, it's not happening, not today. And it just goes.
Wow.
But it all seems like, if somebody said this to me in May, if somebody that, if I'd have been listening to this, I'd have been like, no way this will happen for me.
Yeah.
And I am probably the majority of the time, for myself, quite negative. And my glasses, it's not even half empty. There's nothing in it at all.
Wow.
For other people, I can be very positive and uplifting, and apparently I'm great with advice, and I'm always there as a good friend. But when they say you should take your own advice, it just never really happens for me.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't until now, and I think, I never thought that I would be eating and go, right, you've had enough now.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like for the first time on, I think it was Friday, I thought, I'm having fish and chips tonight. And I went into the chippy, I went, have small fish and chips. I didn't really get much of a chance to eat the fish because one of my cats just came up and stole it and ran off. Such a thief. I got half of it, and she, like stole the rest. But I didn't eat all the chips. I ate what I thought was enough, and then threw the rest away.
Wow.
And that was like a massive achievement. I'm generally really good with my food.
Yeah.
Without, being sick, but when I was being sick, it was just anything I could eat. And I would never ever have like thought of keeping anything like that down, carbs, fatty, sugar, I would never have thought. And now, I went to had fish and chips, had half of it and threw it away and kept it down, and felt good about it. One of the things that really got me down as well, because I'm so into my fitness, and it's such a massive antidepressant for me. Since coming out the army, I've had a lot of mental health, and my eating disorder just was, sky high, self-harming, and wanting to commit suicide, had loads of counselling, and got myself better. So going to the gym was a massive antidepressant for me. Now with being sick, you've got the side effects on that. You've got no energy. You know, and you know yourself, CrossFit, it's not for the faint-hearted. And you know, to get through a 40-minute workout, you need to be eating properly, you know. And it was, if especially was in a purge workout and you couldn't keep up with your, you know, your partner, it was, you just felt awful, you know. I did anyway. I just felt like, God, I'm so sorry I let you down. I'd have panic attacks, so I'd have to like stop halfway through. Me my heart rate would shoot through and it'd be like 199 beats a minute, and that was because the potassium was low in my body, and you know, various other things, all down to being sick. And that affected me and made me think, you need to sort your shit out. It's got, you know, this has got to stop. What turned a massive corner for me in May, and I think I'd spoke to yourself, I think it was, no, I spoke to you, I think 2 weeks after, hadn't I? I think.
After?
Was it, I think I got up on the Monday morning. I remember getting up, I think it was the 17th of May. I got up and I'd been sick so much over the weekend. My throat was raw and I was swollen. My eyes were sore, my ears, I just felt just terrible. And I thought, that is it. And I don't know what happened, but it, you know, I'm not saying I'm cured, I'm not saying I'm over it, you know, but something kicked me up the arse to, you know, to, right, this is it now. You're 41. This isn't life. This is not happening.
Well, I think that's an important point, because you're 41, you are 41, and you've been struggling with this for a very long time. So
since
if
I was 14.
You've been doing it for 20, 25, 30 years, they would easily be thinking, this is it for me for life.
Yeah.
It's never gonna change.
I've literally been bulimic longer than I wasn't.
Yeah, I know that feeling. So now you've got lots to look forward to, but before we move on to that, because I think it's important to note, first of all, that we spoke to each other once. You'd been wanting to speak to me for a while, but you'd been hesitating to reach out. I think a year ago, you'd kind of approached me and then disengaged. And then eventually, obviously, this really awful Monday morning when you woke up, you thought, that's it, I've got to reach out. And that must have been when you sent me the email. And we jumped on a call 2 weeks later. And I think we spoke for quite a long time, but we didn't start coaching. We did one session together. But what you did do is you took on the kind of DIY option. And it sounds like you dived into that full force and really just stuck with it more than anything else, wasn't it? Because it wasn't perfection from then. It wasn't a magical, day zero, and it just magically went all through, you know, nothing was ever a problem. Tell us a bit about that journey, and what were the kind of the most difficult parts and the aha moments for you that really kept you moving through, even though you were making some mistakes and having some bad days along the way?
I suppose I wanted to be healthy. You know, that was, I think with me, as you know, my mum's not very well. She has a heart condition. And the inspiration that I got from her, she's had 2 heart attacks, and she just gets up and gets it done. And and I care for her a lot. I do a lot for her. And I thought, if I'm ill, I can't look after her. I can't look after myself. I can't look after my animals. I can't carry on rescuing my cats and what I do, and it was just generally making me feel shit. So moody, and I hated myself. I hated that I was snapping, and that was down to the food mood thing. It was such a there's so many things, if you put them together, you think, wow, God, that's a lot. That's a lot of things, and it just get the money. I remember saying to you, like, I've literally saved I think I worked out £750. I've got nothing to show
I
for
wrote it
it,
down.
nothing at all, but I don't care. I've not been sick. And that's, you know, like my sister said to me, what are you going to spend your money on? And I was like, I haven't got it. I said, it's not sat in the bank or anything. You know, it's like I've literally just not spent it on putting it down the toilet,
Yeah,
you know, and there's so many things that you just, that when you weigh it up, and I think when you know, when you're in that state of mind, like 12 months ago, that state of mind is just, it's so lonely. You don't think anybody, you know, has ever felt like this. You're the only person, and it, you know, that's only just a natural thing. You know, when you are solo, you think you're the only person in the world that, you know, that feels like that. And you think, I'm never going to get through this.
yeah.
You know, it's such a lonely place to think that something bad is so happening and you think it's never going to go away. That is one of the loneliest places I think I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And you know, if like this time last year, if you'd have said I'd be sat here having this interview with you, I'd be like, I can't do that, there's no way. But like, I've told a few people that I'm doing this, and they're like, Alex, you'll be fantastic, you know, because you're dead honest,
Yeah.
you know, you're open-minded and you're dead chatty, and you know, half the trouble is keeping me quiet, which is very
Funny
true.
WhatsApps from you along the way.
I know, yeah. Don't ever listen to mine with other people. I send WhatsApps, and like I'll send a message to it after, and I'll go, don't listen in company, or don't listen with the kids or anything like that. And they're like, right, okay. Because it's usually like some either bulging us, or I'm having a rant, or I'm swearing, or
But I think you've hit
it's
on something, because I don't know about you, but I certainly think having a place to offload all that emotional energy that maybe we would have just gone to food or booze or self-harm or something, to kind of, as a way of dealing with it. When you do have somebody or a group of people in your life, you can just be like, and then release the energy and say what you need to say and be completely honest. And then somehow that just helps you get through to the kind of next moment, the next hour, the next day. Certainly I can feel like for you that might have been a real useful part, is having your sister, maybe having me on the WhatsApp, or having the group to reach out to, whatever it might be. But that support network is an important component, isn't it, of recovery? Or do you think people could just kind of do it on their own without?
Personally, for me, no. I need to vent.
Yeah.
If something's irritated me, I need to there and then pick the phone up, you know, give somebody a voicemail, and you know, I can't, because I just start wallowing. I'll keep it inside, and you know, I do need to get it out there and then. I can't sit on things. So for me personally, no, I couldn't do it. You know, everybody's different. I'm not saying, you know, it's not possible, because for somebody else it could be. But for me personally, I'd have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'd have to, like, for as you know, my old cat just wandered off the other week.
Maggie.
I went and just went and lived with somebody else for a couple of days. Not a care in the world. I'll just
Maybe
go
I'll do that sometime. When I'm older, I'll just go live with somebody else.
Yeah, I'll just go and wander off and live in somebody else's house, get fed by somebody else.
Lovely.
Probably just have some peace and quiet, which is probably understandable when you look at it, how crazy my house can be. And I was up the wall.
Absolutely nuts.
Oh, it was just, I was out my mind. But I'll tell you what, it didn't come into my head to be sick.
See, now that is incredible to me. You told me that in a message yesterday, and I'm so glad you shared it, because when I found out that Maggie had gone missing, because at that stage we didn't know what had happened. And for me, in my recovery journey, in the early days, I had a cat who was just my, you know, my everything, and kind of very much there for me when I couldn't kind of be there for myself, just helping me carry on just a little longer. And I just put myself, and I know Maggie was kind of that for you. And when I put myself in your shoes, and I thought, shit, you know, you're in early recovery by you know, the grand scheme of things. You're just in the first few months or so of just having such a good number of days, and the urges are diminishing. And then in amongst that, you've got the acid test, you know, the universe threw you in the muck, and Maggie went missing. And I thought, well, fuck, excuse my language, if anything's gonna shake you off your recovery, kind of all that foundational work you've done, it'll be Maggie going missing. And when you told me not only was she back again, but that at no point, despite all of that worry and fear, at no point did you said you thought about it, but you dismissed it quickly. That's
very quickly. You know, like she went on the Thursday night, so I was up all Thursday night, and it was freezing on this Thursday. It was the 4th of November, and the night was so cold, and I thought she won't survive in this. I had to go to work on the Friday all day. I literally left work at 4, straight home. Well, I didn't even come into the house. I went straight out, and looking for her again till I think it must have been 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I didn't come into my head to be sick. It may have popped into my head, but not strong enough to let it win. What did come into my head is I did want to self-harm, but I didn't. I reached out to my friend Brian, and I went, you need to stay with me tonight because I'm going to do something stupid otherwise. I said, I feel, and I stopped it by getting help, reaching out to somebody, and I didn't do it. The thought was there, the thought was very strong, but I didn't do it.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I know a lot of people who struggle with bulimia struggle with self-harm, or have struggled with self-harm. I'm certainly one of them, and still have urges, or there's, you know, some people still get urges just like you did, but this sounded like it was really powerful, and I really appreciate you sharing that, because there's always work to be done, and this feels like the kind of next natural part of your journey, isn't it? It's coming to grips with that and working through that. But in having that experience, you've already recognized that the first tool is to reach out to somebody. And I love that, because the more you do that, the more you'll work through those feelings pretty quickly. It feels like a really big piece of your recovery journey has been reaching out, but actually maybe just allowing and acknowledging that you've got these feelings, and not just the feeling of self-harm or the wanting to binge or the purge. It's actually just the sadness and the fear and the upset and all of that, and just allowing that in and being cool with it, and not being too ashamed to say to somebody, I'm struggling.
No, there's one thing in all of this. I don't have a lot of shame anyway. I'm very not bothered, don't. I think the thought of me running out the sunbed the other morning, I think I told you, didn't I?
Yes.
This is a great story. Not, and I'm not bothered, you know. I'll, you know, after a few drinks, the girls will go, Alex will do it. Oh, why? You know, and I'm the stupid one and go, yeah, all right, I'll do it, and then make a complete fool of himself. And I'm not bothered. But I've never been ashamed of telling people. Like yesterday when we went out for Remembrance Day, I was telling the girls, you know, about today. And I told them quite, you know, in personal things. And I'm not bothered if they want to judge me. I'm not bothered. It's me. And if you can't accept who I am, then don't talk to me. If you're going to judge me or, you know, comment in not in like in an opinionated way, or, you know, in something that's possibly going to cause a bit of, you know, like grief or whatever, I don't want to know. I'm not interested. I don't need any negativity in life, because
I like that.
when I go, I can do that all on my own. You know, I'm just, I don't need any help with people saying things about me, or, you know, being negative, or, you know, calling me, you know, like one of my friends in the summer, she was, you know, horrible to me, and I told you about that, and I literally just locked her out of my life. And I don't miss her. Don't miss that at all. It's absolutely fine. And I'm so proud of myself that I've actually looked after myself. I've actually gone you no good for me. You called me names,
Mm.
which it sounds pathetic at my age, but I'm not having it.
Yeah, I love
I'm
that.
not, that's not happening in my life. So sling your up,
Yeah.
sort
And
of thing.
before, would you have, I mean, I hear you're a bold, kind of brave person. I've never doubted that. But when it came to being called names or being judged, do you find that something shifted inside you where you've really just thought, you know what, my health, my recovery, my what is so important to me, and I'm not going to let that bring me
Yeah,
down anymore. And then that your ability to take that strength, that inner strength that you have naturally, and channel it into an area that's really useful for you. It felt like that ability just got stronger and stronger, because we talk about this being skill development, don't we? It's about
yeah,
getting better at doing things a certain way and putting action and intention and energy into something. And I remember that WhatsApp when you sent me it with your friendship, and how hard that was for you, but you really put down a boundary and a barrier. And sure, not everybody has to block everybody out of their lives, but I think that is part of the journey. It's recognizing which people are just reinforcing all the negativity that you're busy trying
yeah,
to turn around. And we don't need that. As you said,
no,
we've got our own negativity to deal with. I don't
yeah,
need yours as well. So having the ability
exactly.
to put those boundaries down, and now in retrospect, you're looking back and saying, man, that might be one of the best things I ever did. I'm not missing her. Those are kind of the,
No, yeah, yeah,
no, not easy. This is why recovery is a journey, and it takes practice, and it's not always comfortable. Some of it's great and joyful, like the 750 pounds, but some of it's
yeah.
really difficult. What would you say with the most difficult parts, especially in the early days as you were wrestling with those desires? Or maybe even the bloating. I remember you struggled, and I mean, oof, the desire must have been big time to push the fucking button. I'm gonna have to bleep
Yeah.
out all the old swear words. Oh
Um, well, the bloating was just because that's that's a side effect of bulimia, isn't it? It's just
well.
bloating, and it took so long to to for that to settle down. Um, I'd say when I'm, due on the time of the month is so powerful, because I don't know what happens. I don't actually understand it myself, but you could honestly go in the kitchen and just get in the cupboard and just work your way around and
Yeah,
eat anything.
yeah.
That's what I'm like anyway, and I could just eat and eat and eat. Not till I was sick, till I probably died. You
Yep.
know, that's like how I wasn't even hungry.
Yeah.
It was just like, and it wasn't boredom. It was just, I don't know what goes on. I don't know what, goes on in the woman's brain, the
Yeah.
time of the month. But that
Well, there's
was,
definitely some
very,
hormonal fluctuations that make it extremely challenging. And I mean, I was lucky not to really suffer at a certain time of the month, but many women
yeah,
who are listening to this will be going, oh my God, that's exactly what happens to me.
yeah,
So in fact, in the group today, I saw, well, it was a few days ago, I saw somebody post, ladies, what do I do at that time of the month when it sucks? What did you do? How did you get through that? How do you? Because I assume at that time of the month, you still have days where all you want to do is just graze and eat and eat. And,
yeah.
how do you get through that and just kind of bring yourself back to, okay, so there's, let's pull it together. What do you need to do to make sure you don't
Um,
just complete?
well, for me, I live on my own, so I control what food comes in and out the
Oh, that's
house.
beautiful.
Um, and I've never allowed myself to have, you know, that sort of stuff that I would binge with in the house. I
Mm.
wouldn't keep it. That wouldn't be in the weekly shop.
At that time of the
So
month, or just generally?
no, just in general, because I couldn't be trusted. I still don't do it now, basically because I don't want it,
Mm.
I don't need it now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I didn't go out and buy, you know, binge food. When I went out and bought binge foods, I was deliberately going for the binge.
There, now you've nailed
Um,
it. Yeah.
so, and I wouldn't take money to work, so on my way home I couldn't
Mm.
buy anything.
Yeah. So
Um,
you found to get through in the early days, and I've said that quite deliberately because I want to challenge what's coming forward, or I want to ask. But in this, up until now, your way of being able to get through that challenge was to have an environment that was set up to work for you, which of course
Yeah,
not everybody can do, because some people have families and kids and all this stuff. But in your case, that was really effective, clearly, at keeping you in a way safe when the urges were hitting. At least you weren't in
I
the
suppose
presence of
when,
binge food.
yeah, I suppose when I finished work, I'd, you know, go to my mum's, I'd have my tea there, or I'd have it at home, and I'd come home, and what did it for me was shut the kitchen door, and I went upstairs with the animals
Yeah, we spoke about
and
that.
took Maggie. I took Maggie with me. The two boys went out because they're like unsociable. They don't want to know. They don't. They only want to cuddle when it suits. But Maggie will sit there with me, and she was, I don't know, she was just, she saved me in, you know, in a roundabout way. And you can, I think that, well, it wasn't just that. That's why I was so upset. She, you know, she's my little angel. But she did without even realizing, you know, I'd pick her up, we'd go upstairs, sit on the bed, and I'd just sit there and cuddle her, and, you know, stroke her, put the TV on, and that really took the urge away.
Yeah.
Shutting that kitchen door was like I'd shut it off in my mind.
That's powerful.
You know, even though that kitchen door could be opened,
Yeah.
but no, it couldn't.
Yeah.
I'd literally, you know, that was it. The kitchen door was shut. You've had it.
Yeah. That, to me, I think what you've just said is what I would probably define as that you had created a very specific routine that you practiced again and again, but you combined that routine. So I remember we sort of, you brainstormed it, we came out, okay, right, at a certain point you're going to close the door, and that was very symbolic, wasn't it? Closing the door, saying, you know, I'm closing, that's the stopping of the eating now, I've had enough to eat now, and then very clear on what you were going to do next. And I'm sure you sat with all the urges to go back and open the door and just go wild, but you practice that again and again and again until the urges kind of dissipated to now where it's just more of a whisper and a thought, but you kind of just know we're not doing that.
Well, I don't have to shut the door now.
Now that's great, because now what I'm feeling is what my concern would be if somebody was to try and design an environment that was always perfect and never had binge foods in it. It's impossible, right? I mean, eventually at some point we're going to go to somebody's house, or maybe we'll have somebody over or whatever, and there's going to be those foods around.
Yeah.
So if you're in an environment now where somebody came to stay for a week and they brought home cookies and crisps and all the way, how would you feel you'd be better able to cope with that? Or you're in a position now where it's like, no, there would still be some work around that if that was to happen?
Yeah, I won't lie. There would have to be a bit of work around that. I'm fine going out for a meal. You know, I've done that quite a lot of times now. I'm okay with that because, well, I've repetitive, that, you know, it seems to have retrained my brain. But I don't know if I went to, like, say, a buffet or something like that. I don't know, because I would say now I think I would be okay. But I couldn't be 100% because I've never been in this situation.
I love that.
I would hope that I would be all right.
Yeah, you've built a lot of the skills, but you don't know, and until you try, you'll see what happens. And I'm sure the more you create distance between yourself and those desires, and then giving into the desires, the easier it will be when when you are at a buffet, and that's eventually going to happen. But I love that it's just so honest, because my experience has always been, we get really good at certain areas, restaurants, dinners, whatever it is, and there's always kind of, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. It's just, first there's just balls everywhere, you try to whack the ball, and then eventually you kind of get rid of the worst ones, and then you've just got a few still popping up where those urges kind of arise again. And it's just a challenge to say, oh, there it is. Not, oh God, I'm still broken, this is it, I'm never going to recover. It's more like, oh, that one still needs work, and now I'm going to practice it, I'm going to repeat it, I'm going to do this enough times that. And I must say, as you said that sense of, I'm pretty sure I'd handle it, but I'm aware that I don't know. I think that open-mindedness is so important as we go forward, and the willingness to learn and get better at anything. Because I get the feeling that if you were to go to a buffet today and you arrive feeling quite strong, but the next thing a binge urge hit, I get the feeling your ability to manage it, see it, and try and do something differently about it would be so much better than somebody who just goes, oh, binge urge, I'm still broken. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think if, I'd hope to God that I wouldn't break, but if I did, I wouldn't punish myself.
That's it. You nailed it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think, oh God, I'm broken. This is it. I'm never going to get through this. I'm back to square one. And it was just a mistake. It happened once. Tomorrow's a new day. Start again.
Try again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Try
you've learned.
again.
Now you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I can do this. I know I can get through it. I might have had a bit of a mistake.
Yeah. I love that. Because that mindset is required, isn't it? Because it is a bumpy road. I mean, your road was bumpy.
It is.
But I love that. I remember you sent me a message saying it's like day 108, since I started. And of that, I've had 17 days where I've been sick, and this many days when I haven't been, and now this many days in a row. So your ability to see the bigger picture and count all the wins, and not only just really it just builds that momentum, doesn't it? It's like, wow, now it's the end of the year of 365 days. I've done this many, I've done succeeded. And not only that, because as much as days are lovely and money and bank account is great, it's actually the most important thing I'm getting from you is I'm just not really getting the desire anymore, which of course makes it so much easier.
Yeah. See, today I just See, just before we come on this call, today is day 183.
Wow.
Week 27. And in those 183 days, just let me check. I think it was 33 times in those 183 days. So 150 days, I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
33 times in 6 months, as opposed to 250 times in 6 months, possibly.
Boom. Boom. I love it.
That's just, I written it down. I was like, oh, that's good, that, Alex.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. It's very important that we acknowledge the good stuff, because otherwise we just we get caught up in what you said just now is so perfectly. Even if you broke, even if you did something tomorrow or next month or next year and you broke, you'd just dust yourself off and go, okay, mistakes happen, learn, let's keep going. Let's try again. Hey, maybe I'll go back to that buffet and see if I can get it right tomorrow.
Yeah, but you taught me that, Helen. I do remember in the early days, I think, sending you a voice message. I've broke again. I'm pathetic. I'm everything, and I'll never get through this. And you came back and said, it was one time. It's fine. And that, from that minute on, you planted this seed and it never left me. That was one of the biggest lessons I've learned on your program, is that it's only once, doesn't matter. Tomorrow's a new day. If you did it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, well, that's all right. Don't do it again today. Tomorrow's a new day, and then try again. But you taught me that. You taught me to not punish myself, not to have as much unself-worth, and do you know what I mean? Not unself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Because when we punish ourselves, then the chances of us getting back up and trying again become even less, because now we're dwelling in the pain of the failure instead of just going, oh, that was surprising. Now what do I need to do? And I think that mindset shift is that it happened for you then. I'm really grateful that it did, because some people can take a long time to learn that it's okay to make mistakes, that you've got to learn from them, and immediately get back on the horse, not being like, oh, I'll wait till tomorrow. I mean, I did. I'm saying that, and yet I was the classic. I spent about 6 months putting it all up. I got really good, and then dinners. Oh, I just got jammed at dinner, and I was just like, I'll try this tomorrow. I'll try it again tomorrow. And then eventually I had to kind of give myself a boss talk and be like, Kagan, you need to start breaking dinners down into manageable pieces so you can get through them. But
you become so blasé about it. Oh well, yeah, I've just
yeah,
been sick.
yeah,
And it's like, like now when I think to myself how blasé I was actually about it. It's just,
yeah,
yeah, I've just been sick. Yeah, like I'd get up in the morning and I'd actually, I think probably for 10 years, every single day, I'd say, right, no more today. That's it,
yeah,
no more. And I would probably spend 2 or 3, 4 hours trying to convince myself it wasn't going to happen.
yeah,
Soon as 2 o'clock hit, I don't know what it was. It was obviously programmed into me. I would start eating,
yeah.
just start grazing, and then come when I finish work, I'd just get loads of food and just throw it all up. And I'd go, oh well, doesn't matter. And then do the same again the next day and
Yeah.
never really do anything about it.
Yeah, there you've hit the
Um,
nail on the head. Doing the same thing every
yeah,
day without looking at it, what
just
time you
so
change.
blasé, just,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, I
killing
think,
yourself, doesn't matter.
yeah, there's such a fine line, isn't there, between beating yourself up too much that you become stuck in the failure versus being too blasé that it just keeps happening. And somewhere
Yeah,
in between, there's this balance where you're continually working, you want to succeed, you're making the adjustments, you're trying new behaviors, closing the door, sitting with, you're brainstorming, you're adjusting when necessary, but you're making progress versus being in a position where you're just like, yeah, well, it's just, just once, it's not just once, because you do that enough, you're not stopping. So yeah, it's this fine line between not beating yourself up, versus beating yourself up too much. And you seem to have clicked into that balance quite quickly. And then you just had to get through all the suck of really wanting to do it and
yeah,
not doing it. I remember those WhatsApps too. And that is the worst bit, but you seem to be through that, and that's really exciting. And I know it's early days, but I'm just so glad you were willing to jump onto this call, because I felt, especially for people who are thinking, 20 years plus, I'm never going to get through this. It's one thing if I say it and they're like, yeah, well, that's your job. It's another thing when I can actually speak to somebody who's saying, yep, I'm living proof that in May I started this journey, and in November I've got 150 days, of not binging and purging, and it's just getting easier and easier and easier for me to do that.
yeah.
And I think that's really a powerful message. Before I wrap this up, though, I want to just take a moment to explore where your relationship with your body is, because when we first met, I often say to people, if you could, on a scale of 0 to 10, sort of how do you feel about your body, or what is your fear of weight gain? And I know you were at a high level. I
Yeah,
hate my
yeah.
body. I don't want to gain weight. Where are you now?
Well, I did actually gain about, I think about 5 or 6 pound,
Yeah.
but I was eating like a lot. And but people say, oh, you go to the gym. No, it doesn't work like that. Oh, you burn it off. No, just people are just, it doesn't work like that, at all. You can't eat what you want just because you do a 40-minute workout a day. Me
That's so
personally,
true.
anyway, it just doesn't work like that. So I did actually, gain a bit of weight, but that was because I was eating like 3 or 4 bags of sweets a day.
Mm.
Um, I was just
But that'll do it.
blatantly being greedy. Um, and like last week, I stopped eating the sweets and just ate normal, just ate when I was hungry. And I was
Mm.
literally like hungry every hour and a half. And I ate every hour and a half.
Fantastic.
But it wasn't like I wasn't eating like a burger or chips every hour. I was eating, clean, healthy stuff.
Mm.
Um, and I'd lost the weight last week. I just lost, that
Mm.
that couple of pounds. So it was, it's absolutely terrifying putting
Mm.
weight on. It,
Mm.
the thought, um, just no, I just couldn't cope with it. But when I actually thought, yeah, I've put 4 or 5 pound on, what is it really that bad? What,
Mm.
you're not, it's not. It's I know I just really like now, um I'm just not really that bothered. I mean, I don't want to say, well, you know, if I put 5 stone on, yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
mortified.
yeah,
But you know, a couple of pounds, £3, £4, it's not the end of the world. You know, you can get that off, and I know what to do to get it off.
yeah.
So just pull back on the, you know, the sweets, which, you know, I can be murdered for.
Mm.
Um, but the only way that, you know, I feel that you're going to pile the weight on is if you eat what you binge on and don't purge.
Yeah,
Does
that
that
would
make
make
sense?
sense. I
Yeah,
would rephrase that slightly to if you just eat, but you're never acknowledging the stop signals. So I can hear, and the reason I'm
yeah,
going to rephrase that is because I think you've got a skill that you don't even realize you have, is that in this process, you learn to feel the hunger. And then you literally told us the story about the fish and chips, and granted the cat stole some of it, but it seemed to my mind, from what I could tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you had the fish and chips, it wasn't super scary, you noticed when you were full, and then you just threw the rest away. And that's
yeah,
heaven to anybody who can't do that. That sounds almost
yeah,
impossible to somebody struggling with bulimia. But I think
yeah,
it's the combination of honoring what your body wanted, and in that moment it felt like fish and chips. You weren't
yeah,
scared of it, and then you stopped when you're full. And you've only developed that over time and with a lot of practice. And through, I think, because the weight you put on some weight, and now you've noticed that you're stopping eating the sweets and you're eating healthily, and the weight's coming off very naturally, but it's not coming with a massively restrictive, you know, doing
yeah,
2 times the amount of CrossFit, hating your body. It's come with a very relaxed energy of, hey, let's just see what my body is wanting and responding to. Am I right about that, or have I missed
yeah.
that?
No, yeah, yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
On Saturday, like I was telling a friend like about the chips, and she said, how do you not be sick now? And I said, there's a fine line,
Yeah.
and is like, you know, you've got too much on one side, and you know, just before the line on the other,
Yeah.
and I stop just before I get over that line.
Is that the
So
kind of fullness line, that too much, I've eaten too much line?
yeah, yeah. So
Ah,
the too much line. So, you know,
okay.
there's a line there. And if I went across that line, then it would just be a free for all. It would
That
just
makes
go, you know,
complete
out of
sense.
control. So I stop just before the line in
Comfortable
my
but
head.
not comfortable, but not to that point of
Yeah,
distinction where you would just be so uncomfortable that it would be hard to stop from pressing the fuck it button. Yeah,
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. So that to me is a skill that you practice through a lot of repetition and open-mindedness and being aware, and that ability to recognize when you've hit that mark and go, oh, that's it. And at first it's
yeah.
really hard to stop, isn't it? It's like your whole body's
It
just going,
is.
oh, let's just keep going. But over
Yeah,
time
especially if
it
there's
gets
more
easier and
food.
easier.
Yeah, especially if there's more food and you've got just before the line, you think, oh,
Yeah,
I've
I
just
could keep it
got
going.
what we have got to eat it. What, you know, oh my God. And it's like, it's just, I remember saying to you, you've got like the angel on this side and the devil on this side, and they are just battling, and you're just like, fuck off. You just, you know, and it is, they're just like, do it, go on, do it. No, she's not doing it. Do it now. And you're just thinking, oh my God, my head is a car crash.
Yeah,
Just stop. And it is, it's just, you know, you control, and it is like two people here in your head, just, you know, just like that going at you. And it's just, it's so powerful and so overwhelming. And, you know, when you are in that lonely hole of bulimia and uncontrolled, the devil is he's here, and he's powerful, and he's stronger than this side, and he, you know, it's so hard to argue with. So you just may as well do it. Can't do it, can't fight it, do it. But
yeah,
then as the time's gone on, he's not even arguing now.
yeah, that's
You
lovely.
know, she's up there, not even saying nothing. She's won, she's winning. you know, and it sounds so like, you know, when you say it like that, but it makes so much sense in my head. It's the only way I can, you know, describe it. She's standing tall and she's looking down and she's like, "You're not talking now, are you? Sort of thing, you know, you're not fucking gobbing off anymore, are you?" You know,
Yeah, I
so
love that. That feels like a really good place to kind of bring this into.
yeah,
I mean, I do want to say that would love to touch base with you again in a year or whatever and see, because I've no doubt you're going to get even better at certain things. Your mindset will be shifting even further. Your relationship with your body. It sounds like, I'm guessing what's happening now as you start to let go of the sweets, you're coming to this new place where your body's really giving, maybe for the first time, they give you an opportunity to find its kind of Goldilocks zone without being forced into anything. It'll be really interesting to see where that leads. But I know that you went on Saturdays. I heard your message from, I think, Friday, where you said that, you know, you were out there and you were thinking, you know, I'm not too bad for 40, or I've worked hard for this ass. And I thought, that's the kind of mindset that no matter what body you're in, whether you've gained a few pounds or your body's losing pounds, at the end of the day, that element of self-acceptance where you're really saying, I appreciate this. Yes, I've got work to do, but, you know, screw it. I'm not going to let the judgments or the worries of a few pounds interrupt this kind of newfound freedom that I'm building. It's not all magically there overnight. You've done the work. You've been through the suck. There's still some challenges ahead, but it is getting easier. But having that rock solid self acceptance in no matter what body you're in feels like something that you've kind of got and are now activating in a new way, which is really exciting. And I think that's just going to be blossoming over the next few years as you really start to find, you know, all your electrolytes are really beautifully healing, the hormones start healing again beautifully, and all this stuff that was disrupted by the binging and purging. It'll be really exciting to see how your body, where it goes, kind of without being forced and kicked and abused, and, you know, mentally and otherwise.
Yeah.
And I know what I love about this story, because we both love CrossFit, is like me, the enjoyment that I got out of feeling the power and strength that I had when I kept my meals down actually motivated me to keep my meals down further. So gym wasn't a place where I was just burning off calories. It became this place where I could feel strong and agile and powerful. And that's obviously a big part of
it was massively, you know, like I don't think it helps the fact that I'm so tall, and I don't think it's a massive disadvantage in CrossFit, you know, being so tall, because you've got so much further to go. You're like, I've got a 36 inside leg, and, you know, I don't think it helps. My legs aren't that strong. And when, like, I think I squat cleaned at 52.5. Now that is fantastic for me. The girls I go to CrossFit with throw it around like it's a cotton bud, and it's but they're only 5'1", 5'2", you know, so they don't have, they've got like a 15-inch inside leg or something, you know, they don't have like half the, you know, the way I need to go. And, you know, I was like, I back squatted, I think 60. And again, it's not much to other people, but to me, I was like,
there you go.
Look what I just did, you know, and I felt so much stronger. And when I was being sick, I think it's again a side effect, pins and needles in my hands. Oh, and it was just like, because you're dehydrated. It was awful. My hands used to, you know, I can't do CrossFit if I can't move my hands.
And the head rushes and the heart palpitations, things which are so dangerous.
They are, and they just, you know, absolutely destroy you, you know. But when you are eating better, you're like, oh, God, I can breathe. I'm like literally not dying after 10 minutes, and it felt really good. You know,
and having more energy. Like, have you noticed that as well?
Loads, like, you know, at least another 20 minutes, you know, at least. And I come out and I'm like, I kicked ass in there today. You know, I might not be top of the board, but in my, you know, I did really well. And it felt really good, because that's my passion. That's my, you know, that's my downtime of, you know, doing something I enjoy, go to CrossFit and doing something, you know, I really enjoy. And to do that well, for me and my age,
Yeah.
I think that's just like, it's amazing feeling.
Yeah.
It
And at
really
no
is.
point are you saying, yeah, I do CrossFit so that I can burn off that meal. I mean, I can really feel the energy of this is about achievement,
Yeah,
something you love doing, and to makes you feel good and lifts depression and all of those things. And that's the
yeah,
kind of relationship with exercise that, you know, I'd encourage every day, because when exercise is
yeah,
being used for those to be in touch with your body and feel strong and be agile and all this thing, that's what
yeah.
it's all about, isn't it? That's what being an active human being is all about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely, people who don't go to the gym, or, it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
but I would just 100% recommend it. Even if you just went for a walk every day,
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
just
each
makes you
to
feel
their
so
own.
much better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But doing some form of physical activity certainly seems to be such a huge, important piece of our just general health and
yeah,
mental well-being. And of course, many people watching this will be struggling with over-exercising. A lot of people are not underdoing it, they're
mm,
overdoing it. And I was there,
yeah, yeah,
we've been there. But when you find that balance, and you can, when nobody is saying in recovery that we mustn't ever exercise, and it's about finding the intention and the enjoyment that's entirely yours. And then it becomes a really lovely relationship, like with food. It just becomes a
yeah,
different relationship where food goes from being something scary and I don't know, all these different things, to being something that you're just kind of comfortable with at the moment. And now you're developing this new relationship with it, where you're starting to see, what do I really enjoy? What don't I enjoy? What is my body reacting to? And now that you've got the kind of headspace to watch that without all the fear, it's a lot easier, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the fish and chips moment is a big one. There'll be plenty of
yeah,
people in the early days thinking, I don't even think that's possible. And I actually had
yeah,
a new client on the phone the other day say to me, Helen, you say you don't get urges, but I can't even imagine that. And I want her to watch this, because you said the same things, that I couldn't imagine that would even be possible.
yeah,
And yet it is. But it's
yeah, it
takes
is.
effort and getting through the suck and reaching out for help. And you did all those things.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think for you, it sounded like it took a little bit of a hitting a rock bottom, and just being willing to
Yeah,
try one last thing after trying so many other things that hadn't worked. That must have been
yeah,
hard, reaching out the first time.
yeah, yeah, it was. I mean, I went, when I very first started to get, because I'd had bulimia since I was 14,
Mm.
and it was on and off. When I joined the army, it was on and off, here and there, and through my 20s. But when I was 33, when I left the army, it just absolutely spiraled
Mm.
to the bottom, to the lowest, a lonely place I've never wish upon anybody.
Mm.
And I did go to the doctor and ask for help. And I did. I went to this lady on the NHS, and she said to me, "Well, why do you do it?" I was like, aren't you supposed to tell me that? I was dead confused. I was like, well, if I knew that, I'd be sat over there, wouldn't I? And she went, and I was quite
Yeah.
rude and pissed off. She
Mm.
went, "There's no need to be rude." I was like, "Well, why are you asking me stupid questions?" And I thought, just the strategies was just I just thought, even I know this isn't going to work.
Mm.
And I knew somebody else from CrossFit that had been to her, and she didn't get any joy out of her either. And I was like, I think I went to her twice, and then I just cancelled after that,
Yeah.
because I just thought, well, you're shit, aren't you? Um,
We're laughing
you're not
about it
even,
now, but it's
yeah, but
it erodes our. When people get help that doesn't work, and they've tried all these different things, and I know you tried multiple things. The problem with that is, I think it puts us in a place of thinking, oh shit, well, I'm never gonna, these people can't help me,
yeah.
I can recover.
Well, she just sort of filled me even, and with more being negative, and I
Mm.
think I actually come out of there and went and got loads of food and binged, and I thought, well, that
Mm.
fucking worked, didn't it? Thanks,
I'm
love.
not supposed to be laughing.
Same time next week. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I never went back.
Well, I'm very glad you didn't give up looking for a solution.
Mm.
I'm really glad. So if you had to say something or a few things to anybody watching this who's feeling as trapped as you did, maybe when you were 33 or when you reached out to me at the beginning of the year, what would you say?
Wow, what couldn't I say? It's not impossible. It's very, it is hard. It's, it's the hardest thing I've probably had to achieve. Well, one of the hardest things, but it's possible. And if I could just help one person through all this, and if somebody come to me in 12 months' time and said, "You helped me," that would be enough. But it is possible, and I 100% believe that anybody who was in the place I was in May, you can do it. Definitely. I've no doubt.
Yeah.
You, Helen, have like just been inspiring. I love listening to you. I love talking to you. And, we have such a good laugh, and, you're so knowledgeable and helpful with it all. I couldn't have done it without you. Definitely not. And it, I'd feel good, and I'd love everybody to be in the same situation I am now, and feel good about themselves, and be to the point where, God, that was hard. But you did it. It was hard, but you did it, didn't you? Have that conversation with yourself. I constantly have like a meeting in my own brain. We all sit down, we have this big meeting, we'll battle it out. There's a couple of us going on there, but I'll come out and I've not been sick, or I've not self-harmed, and you can do it.
Yeah,
you can, 100%.
I'm giggling because I have another whose client who's now a great friend, who says she also has a meeting. It's usually got me and a couple of other people in her brain, and she just works through it all, and then she's fine. And that's I like that. That's sort of just the idea of what would they say is kind of enough. And I've done that myself, this idea of creating these little meeting boardrooms with the people that you most respect to help you get through problems, that you're facing. I love that idea. Well, whatever works, but I'm really thrilled to have been part of your journey. It's I really resonate when you say, if I could just help one person, that's certainly how, what brought me becoming a coach. And on that, thank you. And I have no doubt that you're being brave enough to share your story, because I know it's not easy. I certainly didn't, and still don't find it easy to talk about my journey, particularly in front of, it's one thing to do it in front of strangers, another thing to do it in front of people I know. But you're so brave to share it, and I really appreciate it. And I have no doubt that you will at least help one person, if not more. And if anybody's listening to this and the story does help, then please let me know, and I'll pass it on to Alex, because I'd really love to hear that it inspired them to keep going when they felt like all hope was lost. So thank you so much, Alex, for sharing your story today. And let's get in touch again and see how you're doing in your time. But here's to this being your year of turning it around and kicking Bulimia's ass, yeah?
Yeah.